Welcome, everybody, to this week, the Mid-Geek Crisis, episode 2. I'm Joe, the
Pedro.
Afroman.
Yeah. Cautious Clay. Pedro.
And hopefully you enjoyed that last episode. I know we went back to another 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we will attempt not to do that again this week, but I make no promises.
Right. No, we do love to talk, especially to each other. So hopefully you enjoy listening.
That's right. That's right. Again, I'm glad for the a lot of the shares and the likes and the comments. Keep the chatter coming, and on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Twitters and all the lovely social media locations that you can find us in. We're going to start off again this episode with the news, or at least the wrap up of what we've kind of read over the week.
Sure.
You want to start us off?
Yeah. So I'm sure all of us nerds are either pulling our shirts off or nodding our heads in agreement. But Netflix canceled some of our comic book shows, our beloved comic book shows. Iron Fist was canceled, and then soon after they canceled Luke Cage. And Joe and I both have opinions on the season. So how do you feel about it, Joe?
So look, Iron Fist was pretty trash. I cannot comprehend. Look, we'll just start it off with the original controversy that happened, right? Like, it was Marvel's one time. It was their chance to really make the character likable, in the sense of like, hey, here we have this character that his powers are based out of, ancient Chinese myths or, kung fu gods of some sort. Mm-hmm. And, I get it. I mean, we've changed multiple characters in their race and their backgrounds many times in the cinematic universe before. This, I think, was the chance that Iron Fist could have been interesting. I mean, it's nothing against the typical white guy hero, but I mean, in this day and age, the idea of a white guy going to, China and getting mystical powers and becoming the best at Chinese, like, kung fu.
Beating the other ones.
Yeah, beating. Right. It was just something that, I'm not saying that it's far-fetched. I get it. He's in the comics. I get people want exactly, they want their comic books come to life. But this was that one chance, I think, that they could have went, let's make an Asian character and make him interesting. And you know what? I think the biggest problem was the actor that they picked was just, I've seen Mayo that's more exciting.
He was less than exciting. I think he was working with a tough script as well. I mean, it's hard for you to like a character like his, the sort of arrogant bastard who never had to work real hard to get anything. Right.
Well, I mean,
what it came down to, and I thought they were going to twist it and flip it on us by the end of the first season, and they did not deliver anything.
We've seen this before. We've seen that story multiple times, like that cliche of like, I'm a rich kid that turns, heart of gold and becomes a power to the people. It's just...
they gave it to us with Doctor Strange. There was a huge controversy with Doctor Strange with the ancient one. Like, why didn't they learn from that? Like, moment? They didn't bother. And Marvel can do it, right? I mean, Luke Cage, let's be honest, wasn't exactly the greatest character that Marvel ever made back in the 70s.
Right. So he was a character based off of blaxploitation, right? He was Pity the Fool, like just straight up like
beefy, strong black guy, soul brother, exactly. And they updated him, and Luke Cage was great that first season. They did a great job in the first season.
So I think the problem the solution there was he was already a good character, as in he was not a boring character. He was a character that was created in the 70s during that whole blaxploitation and the soul brother kind of thing. Yes, he was a black superhero, which is fantastic to have, but yet he was a big stereotype, walking stereotype, right?
Sure.
But over the years, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, you had writers like Brian Michael Bendis take over and kind of rewrite the character.
Refurbish him, yeah.
Yeah, so in the comic books, they had this great template already to work with. So they took those stories and then made a Netflix story based off of them, and there you go. Iron Fist, on the other hand, while he had some great stories, he was still like the white guy underneath all of that. And I think that's the difference is we were kind of maybe tired of the, white hero. I mean, we had such potential with these Defenders, right? We had Jessica Jones, a strong female character.
Daredevil, a blind character.
A blind character, a character with disabilities. And he's already the white guy, right? Like, we accepted that one. But and then Luke Cage, the black superhero from Harlem. They gave him a really good story, even though there was problems in that first season. I think the first 3/4 of that season are fantastic. The last quarter of it got but
yeah.
But all in all, I mean, the music that, like, the director took time with that. You could see that they went through and found music that, like, represented Harlem and represented black.
Right.
I mean, that soundtrack alone, I must have listened to it.
They filmed on location. I mean, I used to live in that exact area right there in Lenox Hill and Sugar Hill. And I mean, some of the buildings, I was like, oh my God, that's right up the street from where I used to live.
It wasn't Vancouver.
No, it was not Vancouver.
It was
so
the Bronx.
So everyone should be laughing at this, but I remember being like 10 or 11 and getting a VHS copy, I know, of Rumble in the Bronx. And being excited because I grew up and was born and raised in the Bronx, right there on Fordham Road, Kingsbridge, and putting the movie on. And I don't remember whether it was the beginning or somewhere midway through, there was an enormous mountain in the background. Just a huge, beautiful mountainous skyline. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's no mountains near the Bronx. Like,
where is this?
Where is this?
You know what? I never knew that. So that movie isn't filmed in the Bronx, obviously.
Not filmed in the Bronx. It's filmed in Vancouver. Like every other movie that they say it's in New York, they filmed it in Vancouver for cost-cutting measures. But I remember the, like, real feeling of betrayal that here's this great place you could have filmed it, and instead there's a giant mountain in the background, and thinking, like, are people fooled by this? What mountain is near New York City? So anyway, it was filmed.
No, totally. I mean, I get it. You had on location, good music, good story. I mean, it was good. Like, they took their time. Iron Fist was yet again that story. And also, what I find hilarious is his origin is pretty much identical to Arrow.
Oh yeah, that's true. You know what? I couldn't get through the first season of Arrow either. I'm please, no hate mail. I felt like I had completed his arc, if you will. I did not need more Arrow after the first season. You're right. Better. It was like I was watching. When I was watching Iron Fist, it was like I was watching Arrow again. This arrogant dude who comes in, has his own agenda, doesn't reveal anything, is just out of his mind with nonsense.
So again, and I'll tell you, I couldn't get through that first season. I couldn't get through the first season, and then Defenders came out, and I couldn't watch it. I couldn't, like, I got through the first season of Jessica Jones, and then I couldn't get through Iron Fist, and I got through both seasons of Daredevil, which are fantastic, and I didn't watch Punisher for many reasons. And
sure,
I'm sure, comment below, whatever. There are many reasons I cannot deal with, especially at the time it came out, all sorts of shootings and whatnot. I couldn't get behind it. Like, I'm not a fan of the Punisher character.
It's got a lot going on in it. Yep. I got through I think I stopped watching in the very last episode. I was overwhelmed by it. Couldn't do it. Yeah. But it was good. I mean, I'm not going to I don't remember the actor's name, but he's the guy from Walking Dead. He really delivers a great, like.
Oh no, he's fantastic. Look, I think he's.
If you could ever handle it, Joe, go back and watch it. He delivers a fantastic comic book Punisher.
I know. It's just
real meaty, emotional feelings.
The character of the Punisher is a character, I think, lost in time right now. He's kind of a character where, at one point in time, 8-year-old me was like, yeah, dude, that's like shooting up the bad guys. But then, like, now modern me, like, I can't get behind it, and like my kids, like, I can't think of the idea. Like, I get it, he shoots bad guys, but I'm not I don't know.
It's decide who's the bad guys. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, it's a whole other. But anywho, that being said, Marvel is kind of interesting right now. So we're 2 out of 4, right? Is there 4? Mm-hmm. Daredevil and Jessica Jones are the last ones left on Netflix.
Yeah, because we know Defenders isn't coming back. Well, they may surprise us, but I doubt it.
I don't know where they're going with this. I think with Disney going with their streaming service, and Netflix reported their quarterly earnings and talked about the shows a few months back, and they said that they did great. So I don't understand where the pull the plug on Iron Fist and And the fact that they didn't pull the plug on both of them on the same day was also kind of interesting. They pulled Iron Fist, and then like 4 days later, they were like, "Let's kill Luke Cage too." I don't get it. And everyone loved the end of Luke Cage season 2. They were like, "This is going somewhere."
Yeah,
It's great.
And actually, I mean, the reviews I read of Iron Fist, people like the twist at the end there. I won't.
Right. So yeah, but people said that it was they were finally
a good turnaround for the show.
Right. So I don't know where they're going. I don't know where they're going. Honestly, I think maybe they're wrapping it up to maybe package them all together and put them on the
Disney network.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Could also be Netflix freeing up dollars to do more seasons of shows that did maybe better, like Altered Carbon or any of their other sci-fi shows that are on there. Just to compete against Amazon, which went on a buying spree, right? Amazon bought a ton of shows. So I feel like Netflix might be strategizing and saying, hey, we're going to have 2 major competitors soon. Amazon is building their own stable, and Disney's going to be coming out with their stable. That's 2 big studios we're going to be fighting against.
Yeah, Netflix is kind of interesting because we've been. I mean, again, we have normal TV because of the house, but we don't actually watch it much, and
Never.
We only use it for the login so that we have access to some of the channels.
Sure,
but I will say Netflix again surprises me with the content that they've got. Again, this Halloween, this October, Netflix has really put together like the horror and the genre, and they've really strategized it that they're releasing these shows like every Friday and Tuesday. All these new.
We got Halloween. Sabrina. We got Sabrina coming out in a couple of
Sabrina's coming out, and
calendar.
It's from the same creators as Riverdale, which I only watched half of the first season, which again I loved. So I need to go back and watch just because it's that. It reminds me of Veronica Mars,
which is great. Veronica Mars is great.
So it's very Veronica Mars-ish. I know Riverdale, right? But
it's like Gossip Girl with a murder.
Right. But
I'll admit to have enjoyed Gossip Girl. I enjoyed it back in the day.
Yeah. So it's
the first half of Riverdale.
It's that. I don't. So again, they put out. The show that the wife and me just finished was that cooking show, the Curious World of
the horror cooking show. So did you like it? I know we were talking about it separately from the show, but
so it's an interesting genre. Everyone that's watched it has been like, I don't know where this fits. I didn't know I wanted this, but we got it, and it's something amazing.
We consumed it.
We consumed it. It's 6 episodes, 30 minutes long.
Not much commitment.
Not much commitment at all. You're talking about a few hours, but it's the best way to describe it. It's Sesame Street, Pee-wee's Playhouse, a cooking show like Rachel Ray or whatever, and The Addams Family.
I mean, I'd love to be in the meeting room where that show was
pitched
and then bought.
Right, but what's interesting is she is a very social media famous person. Christy McConnell was really famous on Instagram. As a matter of fact, if you do a search for her name, you'll find like BuzzFeed and all these other places put up stories about her back in 2014.
Oh, so she's built an audience.
She's got a big viral like Instagram audience about her, but she's got no cooking show. But the quality of her work is, if not better than some of the Food Network stuff I've seen. So the fact,
every time I see those shows with these intricate cakes, I'm always like, but
okay, so she doesn't use fondant.
Oh, okay.
Well, so that was the one thing that
I retract my statement.
I know, right? Every cake she makes on that show is buttercream, and I was like, how is she doing that with buttercream?
Oh my God, that's
I know, right? So again, if you got a chance, watch it, and you're gonna be like, what is this? There's cussing, there's murder. There's like family friend. It's PG, but they say some risk. There's murder in the show.
I'm gonna have to watch this show now.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we're gonna finish up. I mean, we didn't mean to talk about only our Netflix shows, but my wife and I are watching Glow. We're just finishing up the second season of Glow, which we enjoyed. Loved the first season, so we can't wait to go into the second season. Hard to watch, but good. Very funny and very adult.
So we'll move on to another bit of Marvel real quick, and this is just a little blurb on this. So in this week, I know that who was it? Insomniac or Sony, they put out a new patch for Spider-Man, and
very exciting.
Yeah, they put out a new patch for they unlocked a Games Plus mode and a couple other things. But I think the biggest story here out of all of this is they finally touched base on the whole puddle thing.
Is it Puddlegate?
Yeah, Puddlegate was finally
Puddlegate?
put to rest, or at least the developers finally talked about it. And what they did is they allowed you to add all the puddles you want into the game. In a twist of events, they basically added a sticker in the game that allows.
This is like your camera option.
So you go into the photo mode, and they literally added all the stickers, all the puddles you want. And I'll tell you not, the tweet from Gildoran, one of the developers. Said, we have a new patch today. Not only do we have a new game plus mode, but we added a bunch of stuff in the photo mode, including stickers, frames, rotations for stickers, shortcut to photo mode with the D-pad. And I fixed this for you. And of course, this means it's a picture of the intro, and there's nothing but a bunch of puddles, cartoon puddles all over the picture.
Oh, that's the kind of feedback you want to give to
So if
overblown non-controversies that gamers.
For someone who wasn't in the know or has no care, the quick blurb or the TLDR version of this was during the E3 demo this year. They showed the Spider-Man, I guess the little base intro level, fighting against a group of mobsters or whatever. And in this, it looked beautiful. They were running it on actual hardware, they said. And they showed the ground, and the ground was wet. There was wet puddles of water everywhere. When the game launched, on the release date, they were far less puddles, and the ground was not as shiny. So, of course, the gamers revolted and said that there was a graphics downgrade of some sort. Now, if you follow, there's a couple of groups online. Digital Foundry is this great YouTube channel. If you don't know them, check them out. They're all about taking games and comparing the versions, seeing which one runs better. They check for frame rate. They check for
okay. On like different systems.
On different systems, they have like really high tech software that they can tell you. They can watch and map all the frame rate to see if it drops anywhere. I mean, it's fantastic. They're very detail oriented. And they went through and tested it and compared it to the E3 stuff and saw no difference. The only difference was they took the puddles out, and they said it was for artistic reasons, and they proved them right. They said that it had nothing to do with a graphics downgraded.
You're dropping that's too much facts in a non-factual world. We're post-fact. The post-fact world.
Matter. Fake news.
I feel like they took away my puddles, and that's what's right now, right?
Right.
That's what it's all about. So,
right.
But yeah, it's another non-controversy. Again, like my Big Macs don't look like the McDonald's Big Macs. I'm sorry. Like the marketing is different. I don't know why gamers think that just because something looks something day -40 on day 0, it's going to look exactly the same. Things change. Art decisions are made. I mean, they know that. Honestly, in this world, they should be glad the game isn't a beta.
Right. I agree.
It's a complete product that works.
Like Sony has been very good about releasing games that work and look great. So I had no idea why they were all up in arms. But I will say there are times where things really get bait and switchy. So I can see where some gamers or some individuals are ready to like lynch. And that's because things like Gearbox and their whole Alien game, the Alien Space Marines game that they released.
We don't talk about the Alien Space Marines game.
Right. But we have to, because that's like the big switch that they could have ever pulled. They showed E3 of the year that it launched, and they had, Marines running through and bodies and all this debris, and they made it look beautiful. And then the game launched, and it was absolutely nothing like the E3 demo.
The classic derp alien.
Right. Aliens running into walls and shadows. It was a complete and utter not the game that was shown. So at that point, we've lost the trust, right? Like they've just gotten to the point where they don't trust.
Yeah, but I mean, when it launched, right? They had the game, so they literally played it to get that screenshot, so they can compare the two screenshots, right? I mean, or did they?
Well, they had the game. The game that they played on E3 was some build that didn't exist. It was never released to the public.
So, like, if there's I don't get it. I think if the game works and you're playing it and it's great, then enjoy it, even if it has less puddles, right? I feel like you gotta calibrate your response. Like what you rip your hair out over needs to needs to be adjusted for what matters, right?
How dare you come at me with reason, Pedro? There's no reason in all this. It's
Right, we're in a post-reason world.
Post-reason world. I don't understand. I don't get it. And again, touching base on all of this, just a quick blurb on this as well. Shadow of the Tomb Raider launched last month on, was it the 16th of September?
Yep, give or take. I remember it being right before, yep.
And it just came out at a weird time. I think it's Spider-Man had just come out, so it didn't get the buzz that it deserved. Again, I'm a fan of all the. I played part 1 and part 2, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And
got 2 in my queue. 2's in my queue. I've got to be in the right mood.
It's a fantastic game. I really like them a lot. I think I like the character of Laura more than any other version. So this is I'm excited to play this. I haven't picked it up just because, again, parenting and time.
Yeah, I know.
But
plus, like when I do finally put it in, I want to eat it all in one sitting. Like, right. I want to play 2 weeks straight. I want to not have to like look up guides. I just want to eat it.
And that's how I do. That's how I played the last one, and I enjoyed it. But the interesting part was, and it's in the news again today, is because they had a big price drop on it. I guess.
Oh no!
Right. So they had a big price drop, and let me see if I got this story right. But the idea here is the price drop caused a concern with people. They
concerned. I know what happened.
Yeah. So it's on Steam right now at 34% off sale. So that drops. It's about $25 cheaper now, and you've got people up in an uproar because they feel like this game that's a month old is they paid $60 for it on day one, and now people 1 month later can buy it at $40 as opposed to $60.
Madness. I really hate it when someone else gets a deal. It makes me so angry, furious. I can sympathize, right? You pay $60 and then 4 weeks later it drops $20. You're like, that's $20 I could have put somewhere else. I get it. Well, I mean, were you sitting on the game? Were you not playing it for those 4 weeks? Did you not get your $60 value up front already? Like, I don't even own it yet. So you can post spoilers. You could tell me about the ending. Like, you could ruin my day.
Right.
I sent him an email with all. I challenge you to send me an email with all the spoilers for this game because it'll ruin me because I haven't played it yet. And that's your $60 right there. That's your $60 you made some money.
So, and the biggest problem with this is now that it came out, now that it's been dropped today, they dropped the price on it. 308 negative reviews have been put on at least up to the day the story got posted, really ripping into it. And of course, because the world is review centric, movies and games and everything, if reviews get bad, so developers and bonuses for developers and all of that really come into play with like places like Metacritic and all of that have just become ubiquitous with, if a game doesn't have a good Metacritic score, publishers will can half a studio because of stuff like this.
Ugh. Yeah, this is not even a decision that any of these developers or writers or designers or motion capture, all these people, I mean, hundreds of people work on these games, are now going to get punished because the business folks were like, let's drop the price and see how it does.
Right. And again, it was a smart move, right? You release a game that just came out a month ago. I just don't get it. Red Dead Redemption's coming around the corner. They figured, let's get people to buy this game right before this other big game comes out. Also, you and I both know that AAA title games drop in price around this time within a month. Every Assassin's Creed game that's come out during the holidays in the fall, within 4 weeks, it is $20 cheaper. I've never bought one full price because of that. As a matter of fact, games that come out in October, like right now, you're going to find it for $20, $30 cheaper on Black Friday 1 month from now. I don't get it.
I mean, I guess sometimes gamers just need to learn these lessons. I mean, nerds in general, we just need to nerd the lesson over and over and over again and complain about it every time we get ripped off, or we early adopt and it doesn't work on day one, or we go to a terrible film even though we know it was going to be terrible, right? All these things we do weekend one.
That's a whole other discussion. Me in terrible films. I love terrible films because I feel like I grew up with terrible films. I would watch, every freaking straight-to-video action flick, and I loved it. And it was because I was there to go off and just like, throw popcorn into my maw.
So you're watching. I'm completely opposite, right? I mean, I grew up watching terrible films as well, but I grew up renting them for $1 or $1.50. I didn't go to the movies to see these bad films, right? That's $20. That's the discount. That's money I could have saved if I waited 4 weeks on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, right?
Right, but again, you live in New York, right? So how much do you pay for a movie ticket?
Well, I have to wait for my accountant to check the numbers, but I think it's much higher than you pay down there in Texas.
Right. Yes. So we can walk into a new movie for $9 on certain days. So $8.
I mean, when I do the matinees, we can get it for like 17, I think.
I when I was living up there, I would tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, I spent $45 on tickets, and they're like, how many tickets did you buy? Just two.
Just two. That's it. And well, you bought popcorn too. 45. Come on.
$20 a ticket?
Oh yeah, that's true. Cause yeah. All right, I'll take it back. It's way too expensive up here. It's way too expensive.
$20 a ticket. So I mean, it was $40 minimum for a movie, not including the popcorn. And if you throw dinner into the mix, boy, let me tell you, that's $100. Easy.
It's crazy because I would talk to like people about this where they're like, "Oh, are you going to go see XYZ movie coming out this weekend?" I'm like, no. I mean, think about it's $50 to go to the movies, and then if my wife and I are going to do it, we're going to make it a date night, which is another $50, and then I got to pay the babysitter. It's another $50, so that's $150. Is that movie really worth $150?
Right.
One movie that's not worth it, Jurassic World. We saw that. Jurassic World 2. We saw that in the theater. That movie was not worth.
I loved it. Consumed it all. Give me dinosaurs running around a mansion. Woo!
I rather would have paid full price to go see just Jurassic World. That was already like the very first one was a great one. This second one and this trilogy are terrible, convoluted mess of a plot.
Yeah, but
the dinosaurs were crappy.
But you know what? You know what? I love where they left us. And again, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it or rent it or do whatever. But I'm going to spoil it because I think it's past summer, right? We can
You're going to get the hate mail. I'm going
to get the hate mail. I'm going to do it. You left us with a world where dinosaurs are actually out in the open now, like on the continent, and they're going to out and reproduce, and we're going to get.
What? But didn't that happen in every other movie? Like
no,
every Jurassic Park movie.
No, I mean, come on. They've been leading us up to the fact they called the movie Jurassic World. And we were like, why is it called Jurassic World if it's just a park again? I'm like,
because it's bigger.
Well, no. It's because this is where they were going. We're going to get Planet of the Apes.
So, all right, yeah, no, it was a great delivery. That's a great setup for the third film. But man, did I have to swim through a river of garbage to get to the end of that. I mean, they could have given me that payoff at the end of the first one, and I would have been thrilled. First one.
Maybe. I really enjoyed. I know. We can talk about this, and this is a whole other bit. But I personally enjoyed the fact that they gave us that uncanny valley of like, we've been talking about dinosaurs for 5 movies now. Did they attempt to do this with humans? And then you get that answer, and you're like,
of course they did.
Oh, they did. And I personally was like, yes, finally. They talked about it. And other people were like, that's so stupid. And I'm like, why?
Dude, you're watching real spoilers, man. And
I don't care.
I completely forgot that plot point.
It's a great plot point.
The only interesting thing, and I must have dropped it. I dropped it back into that river of sludge. Like I was like, oh, this is so interesting.
I think it opens up a whole new can of worms for that movie. And the villain that we've had for the past 2 movies. What is it? The
scientist guy.
The scientist guy. I mean, what is his name? The guy from Law and Order. Oh God, everyone knows his name. The Asian one, right?
The scientist guy. Don't do that. The scientist guy. We all know the guy. The scientist on many a movie.
Anywho, I digress. The movie's fun. I think it's got a lot of good threads to pull for the third one. I think it made its money back, so we're gonna get a third one.
Of course, we're gonna get a third one,
and I hope so.
Yeah.
And I'll be there day one with two barrels of popcorn like this. I paid double for it.
I learned my lesson because I regretted not seeing I saw the first one at the theater and loved it so much. I was like, I'm going to see the second one, and I was very sad. Even with the beer at the theater, there's a movie tavern up here, and even with the beer and spending $900, it totally was not worth it.
All right. So last, I guess that was it for news.
That's our news. Yeah.
For news. we could talk about a little bit of what's going on in your parenting world. What's going on?
So, we're playing some games, right? We always try to get our kids into our gaming hobbies is one of the things we want to talk about here. So I don't know if you downloaded it, Joe, but Overcooked on the Xbox One.
I have it downloaded. I even own it for the Switch because I got it as it was a deal, and I bought it because I heard good
I'm
things.
so jealous of your Switch all the time. You mention it. You just rub it in my face that you have a Switch. I just have to put aside my pennies. But great couch co-op game, right? So I'm always screaming for couch co-op games because it's hard to like.
No, you and me both. You and me both have we kind of almost bonded in a way over these. I mean, couch co-op is something that I miss. Most people miss, but developers for a while decided to go, no, people don't want that.
It's also something I used to do with my dad. And my dad used to play, he used to pick up player 2 and we used to play side by side on these games. He'd watch me for a lot longer than he got to play, but it was like a bonding experience, right? And it's a great way to.
My dad would pick up the controller for Contra and be like, I don't know how to do this, and I'm like, let's go. My dad
would die on purpose and steal lives from me. So that's the foundations of my trolling roots, right? He would
what's going on? My
ear during delicate maneuvers in Solar Jetman, and he's like, compensate, and I'd be like, what? Huh? And I crash into a wall. Like, this is the stuff you thought to Jetman.
Oh man, that's a good.
So I love these couch, Solar Jetman, great
Solar
game.
Jetman, yeah, great game.
So I got R on Overcooked, right? So we put it on. It's only 2, maybe 3 buttons to play if you play with the turbo. So it's relatively easy for a 5-year-old to figure out how to play. She enjoyed cooking the first meal. So if you don't know the game, very simple concept. Your chef's in the kitchen. You got to cook a meal. There's ingredients. You got to chop up the ingredients, put in a pot, time that pot, get the pot to the customer, and then wash the dishes. Right. So you're running the kitchen. The more cooks in the kitchen, the crazier it gets because you wind up bumping into each other. The two of you can't run the same station, so you have to communicate. And then the kitchen shifts. So at some points, like there's one board where it's 2 lunch trucks, and occasionally the lunch trucks will separate. And on one side you have the kitchen, and the other side you have the cooking food. So you have the time to get all your food across.
Okay.
So you can cook it, things like that. Playing with her is great, right? Because she really enjoys chopping, so I have to bring it to her, and she sits there and chops. But she would pick it up and then throw it on the floor and laugh. She's throwing food on the floor. She'd pick it up and throw it on the table and then laugh. Or she'd set fire to the kitchen, and then I'd have to get the extinguisher, and she's like losing her mind at me running around trying to put out the fire, right? So this is.
So she's metagaming.
Yeah, this is. She's found
a game within a game. She's found a way to troll you.
She's found. Well, yeah. I mean, it's the first signs of trolling, which all of us as parents are always very proud of. But also, she's because she's 5, she doesn't want to follow the rules, right? She's experimenting with how to do things in the game, right? Which again, it's why Minecraft is such a big hit with kids, because you can try a bunch of things and some of them work, and you can design things and things like that. So, if you've got the kids and you're looking for something to play with the family, very easy game. Even I shouldn't say even. I occasionally get Sarah to play games with me, and she enjoyed it as well. So she played it with all of us. 3 of us in the same kitchen was good.
So it's 4-player, right? So I could probably play. I could probably get everyone to jump in and play this game.
You get the whole clan in front of the.
And this is a game that apparently got wide reviews. Everyone loved it, and it's so good that I know the sequel came out recently. So there's now an Overcooked 2 that's out, which is interesting to me because the concept to me sounds very much like a PopCap game, like Diner Dash.
It's right? Diner Dash. So when you playing it by myself is not fun. I played a bunch of levels just to unlock things and unlock different characters, right? Just to get into max stars.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's not fun. It's a very different experience from all of us in the same room yelling at each other because someone's standing in front of the potatoes and you can't get the potatoes to cook the meal, right? Or the pot's burning and you thought someone else is going to get it, right? So it's a lot of fun jibing back and forth as you've got to coordinate, because sometimes you wind up on different parts of the kitchen and you can't do everything, right? So it's good. I don't know. It's like one of those good co-op games where you got to really communicate and work together in the same room, which is always great for a couch co-op.
Oh my God, we got to get you a Switch, man. We're gonna set up a Patreon for this thing because with you liking that co-op, I think you'd enjoy the new Mario Party
I
that just
think
came out on the
there's
Switch.
a few things we could pay for before the Switch if
Yeah,
we set up a
sure,
Patreon.
sure. That's fair enough. I'm just saying, like, if you're like, I need a Switch, and you've got R who loves this type of stuff, like the Switch is like the
I know
system for
it's
this.
on the
And
list. You know what? I think this is the year that I get Grandma to get it for.
all right, there you go. Yeah, that's what
That
Grandma.
feels like I mean Grandma bought me Nintendos, so she should buy our Nintendos, right? That's the way it should go.
Romy's ours first Nintendo product from Grandma. I think that would be the way to go.
You know what? I might pitch it that way.
Yeah, Connell has a Nintendo. He's got his. Well, he's been playing since the Wii U, and it's his now. He's got his game saves and everything. That's all he plays, and he plays my Switch occasionally. But again, the fact that it'd be ours first Nintendo product is kind of it'd be like a rite of passage.
It should be, yeah. Yeah, that's the way I'm going to pitch it. And the Switch is always great because we can all play together, which I'm a big fan of. And the Wii U, I'm jealous of the Wii U, right? Because that was a great couch game as well.
So much co-op potential in that system that was not used, and that one has something that the Switch can't do. It's that have one screen on there and another screen on the tablet. The Switch is the tablet, or you dock it and it's
your
console. But again,
it's interesting that they gave up on that technology, because it was such a neat.
Well, I mean, the moment they did it, then Xbox tried to do it. They had their second screen thing that didn't pan out at all.
I guess it was impossible to develop for. Maybe?
I don't know. I know Fallout had it for a little bit. I think when Fallout the last one 4 came out, you could connect a tablet to it, and it would have something there as a second screen, but it was either patched out or no one played with it.
It was kind of clunky, and it was just way easier to manage things within because you could do inventory management and things like that, but it was a giant pain in the ass, and it didn't allow you to do inventory management when you were away from the Xbox, which
right, which I think it should have been that way. But
when Division launched, they were supposed to have a tablet enabled 5th player. So it was a 4-player game, and when they did their E3 launch, I think 2 years before or 3 years before, they had a 5th player that was on a tablet that would control a drone, and this drone could do flamethrowers and bomber strikes and scout ahead, and that just poof vanished.
Just cut it, left it on the cutting room floor. And again, we played when the Wii launched, when the Wii U launched. I remember you coming over, and we played. Zombie U. The multiplayer section of that game that almost no one talked about was, again, people in the know that was an amazing concept. And again, if you didn't know, there was Zombie King is what it was called, and one person held the tablet and had a bird's eye view of this map, this level, and you essentially released zombies on the tablet while the other player was in third person on the TV, third person shooter mode. And so all you'd see was boxes, and you didn't know what was coming around the corner. And the idea was to survive. And so you would launch zombies, and
one player was, so if you think of it as a tower defense, right? So one player was the monsters, would drop monsters, would score points as time progressed, as they hurt the other players, as they achieved objectives, and would drop bigger and bigger zombies or larger waves, or would focus fire on a certain section.
Yeah.
While the humans, right, who were trying to survive, would this first-person shooter just trying to run around, scoring equipment, keeping each other alive. And I think capturing flags, capturing points.
Yeah, and we had a great concept for this. I think by the end of it, I think we had said this would be a fantastic way to do kind of a Dungeons and Dragons game. I mean, just one person with the tablet is the DM, and you're essentially firing off you're sending out the mobs. You're
monsters, clicking traps, sending messages, controlling NPCs.
Everything, doing all of that. And then the players are running around, and they're running through this map that you have full control over because you can see them. I just think it was an idea that was there.
How much fun would that have been if
Well, we can do that now with multiplayer. Like, I mean, Evolve did that, right? In a way,
Evolve had the monster, yeah.
right?
This
So
is another game that I feel like if they had just had a better release that didn't have the like
nickel and dimed you. That's what they did. They nickel and dimed everybody. They
if
released
they had
the game.
just waited like 5 months to start nickel and diming and had set up servers that made it easy to multiplayer. Like if I wanted to play with randos, it was easy for me to play with randos. But playing with my friends, of which I only have like 4 or 5, everybody, like 4 or 5 consistent gamers that come on. And when we had all 5, we wanted to play Evolve. One guy monster, four people running the heroes. And every time we would drop or someone would get kicked off, we'd be halfway through a match and
But we were sold on that game. We went to PAX and
it was great.
We played it, and it was you, me,
The monster. I still have the bracelet.
I still got it too. And Bonji, he was one of them. So I think it was a total of 5 players, and you played the monster.
Mm-hmm.
And you had one of the devs next to you, kind of helping you out.
Yep, he was telling me what to do the whole time. Well, he was providing me hints and clues. Get away, do this, do that move.
Right, or go eat this so that you can evolve. And then we were playing the regular 4 players, and we kind of started off pretty beefed up. And I played support, and I loved it because it's one of my favorite, kind of the medic. And we had a blast. I mean, by the time we were done with that match, I mean, our adrenaline was pumping.
Oh my god! Like I lost, but it was like it was a last fight inside the last room, like me smashing people, and you guys had the ringer. One of the devs was the healer.
So the healer. That's right. That's right.
Murdering us.
Right. So he was. I mean, it was a fantastic game, and I think the idea was that support style co-op, one person plays the villain, is a genre that isn't used very often. I think the only other one that I have seen that was successful but is not anymore because they went under was the Friday the 13th game. That I think it's free right now. Or it's like $6 that you can buy.
Really free?
Well, they dropped tons of DLC, lots of stuff that was created for the game. The developers loved the series, but something to do with like the license, and they just killed it. Like it's got a really, that's another story we could talk about, but
I'm gonna have to read up on this.
Yeah, it went through developer hell, and then once it came out, New Line or whoever owns I know who, Tim, you're gonna correct me on all this, but someone owns the rights, and they went through like a video game right thing, and they killed it. So the game developer had to drop it, and so the game was over with. So the developer literally put up a last post, said, "This is the last patch. We can no longer develop on it. Done."
Oh, I didn't know it went down that way. Because it looked, I mean, it was asymmetric, one monster.
Yeah, so one person plays Jason, and then you had 4 or 5 campers. And Jason had like superpowers. He could kind of warp and teleport back and forth around the map.
That game, I mean, I feel like we saw a game like that.
I watched a few streams on that. And that, I'll tell you,
heart pounding.
Right, that's one of those games that was really fun to watch the stream because you really were behind watching someone kind of play, and unless you were watching the person playing Jason, you had no idea what was going on. And I'll tell you it was exciting. That monster versus, but you're playing the monster. It's not an NPC. It makes the game a whole dynamic that I think it needs to be.
So that's interesting because I feel like I'm willing to sign up for that, for Evolve. I'm willing to sign up for that asymmetric PvP style play, right? But I look at a game like Fallout 76 where there are no NPCs, and it's essentially like similar to that experience where like you could be good or you could be bad and you can be hunted or not. And I am not excited. Like I play the heck out of Friday the 13th. I played the heck out of Evolve, even though we had a lot of trouble. Even now, I felt bad when I finally got around to uninstalling it. I was like, man, this is a game that I wanted to play more.
I really wanted to play it more.
But I look at Fallout 76 and this sort of like PvP world. I don't know that I'm gonna be as excited for it. It makes me nervous that it's got too much griefing, that the rules aren't asymmetric. It's just players who are going to be better are going to pick on the players who are not as good.
Right. I don't get it either. I think I don't know. I've got the beta. I pre-ordered it just to get the beta code to see if I could try it out. You might want to do that too. Maybe you could pre-order it, get the beta, and then cancel your pre-order. But you get the pre-order. I know.
unlike other gamers, I have learned never to pre-order ever again.
I know, but I'm telling you, just to throw the $5, get the code, and then you could cancel it. But the idea here is you pre-order it, get the code, try out the beta, see if you like the game, and if not, you might want to wait for it to drop $20 or something like that. And get it your reservations allow you that the developer, Bethesda's going, hey, try it out, see what you think. Like, that's what they're kind of doing. So it might be worth the test.
$5 to give it a whirl.
Yeah, give it a whirl.
I played the hell out of Fallout 4. That was
I know you were all about Fallout, and I
100% of the achievements on the Xbox One. Everybody, I don't know.
I'm the opposite. I did not enjoy it. I felt, and I think we've had this conversation. I felt like the game didn't explain things enough to you at the beginning, and then once you were to a point where you think you got it, you had to really scramble to, I don't know, you had to scramble to do things more advanced. I got stuck at a point in the game where I was just like, this is frustrating. I don't want to go grind.
This is I think Bethesda does this pretty often, right? I think the developers do this too pretty often, where they sort of like they drip feed you in the tutorial where they're like, moving forward, makes your character move forward, and you're like, okay, I've played video games before Fallout 4, and then they open up this fire hose of content on you, and you're like,
right, okay. I remember my biggest beef with it. It was the crafting and the base building. Yeah. I hated it. I couldn't get it. I was like, why can't I, like, what do you mean put power? None of this is powered. Why? I would put light bulbs and they wouldn't light up, and I'm like, what?
I had to watch multiple YouTube videos to figure out how to connect.
But why do I have to watch other players play this game that somehow they knew how to do it? And when I've been playing video games for like 30 years now, and I couldn't light a light bulb, or like, there was no requirement. There was never a moment in the game where they're like, this is how you light something up.
Joe, this is what they call immersive gameplay. Would you know how to light a light bulb in the post-apocalyptic future?
I mean, let me farm potatoes and put wires into them and let me do that, and I would have been happy. Like, at least tell me what the potatoes are for. But
yeah, I mean, thankfully you need. I mean, the game writing is fantastic. The amount of things you can do in the open world is fantastic. The DLC is, I mean, of all the games I've played, I would probably say it's the second best set of DLCs I've played ever, with Borderlands 2 being the best DLC.
Oh, yeah. We could talk about that game for a whole hour. I love that game.
Controversial, I know, everybody. Controversial DLC. I mean, I'm still playing Division.
Look,
their DLC
people can hate about DLC all they want. I get it, but I have money to spend, and I'll buy the DLC because you're giving more content to a game. I get that a full game is like $100 by the end of it all, and then 2 months later, after they release that last DLC, they release a $40 version with everything included.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Destiny 2 is doing that now. I'm thinking about buying.
But I don't care. Borderlands 2 by far was one of those games that was so perfectly created, I think, in my opinion, again, that I have bought every version of that game that has come out. I own it on Xbox 360, on PlayStation 3, on Vita, on PC.
And you pre-ordered the VR, right?
And I've pre-ordered the VR, and I own it on, again, I own it on Vita, on PlayStation Vita, and it runs like garbage on that system, yet I still played through it.
You've also picked it up in like collections, right? So like you bought Borderlands 2, you bought all the DLC, and then you bought the Master Collection, right? And
then I bought the Handsome Collection,
the Handsome Jack
Collection that came out on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So I owned it on both. So
and then that came out free like 3 months later. Did you write angry letters? Did you?
No, I did not. I did not write. I told them, give me more. Oh, you know what I did is I bought every one of those games, and then at the end of that game, I was always expecting them to go, here's the treat for Borderlands 3. I have been let down every time, but I'm waiting for that nugget to happen with VR. Maybe in the VR game, they're going to be like, by the way, if you play it to this point, you'll get
the Borderlands. Suddenly you'll be in Borderlands 3. What if they just punk everyone?
I know, it's like, this is Borderlands 3. I would be like, that would be it.
Game developers, if you're watching, that's our idea. Patent pending. I've already put my
No, seriously though, I'm going to play it in VR.
That blow minds.
I'm
Did you ever play the Telltale Games Borderlands
I
story?
played halfway through it, and I loved it. I loved it, but I just
You got to sit down, man. It's 2 hours an episode. It is glorious.
it is glorious.
I mean, it's not Borderlands 3, but it's like a pop-up kitchen of their delicious food. It's so good and enjoyable.
They've been doing that when they release.
Every episode gets better and better, and like it just gets crazier on top of crazier, and you're just like, this is it. This is so amazing.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. I haven't finished it.
Fantastic.
I did finish the pre-sequel or whatever. The
Did you buy all the episodes? Because I don't. Can you still buy episodes?
Yeah, well, I think they sell it to go in one pack now. But
Yeah,
the pre-sequel, the one on the moon, so the one that they released after Borderlands 2, but is not Borderlands 3. It's a sequel, pre-sequel.
The pre-sequel.
The pre-sequel. Anyway, that was good too, and I enjoyed the crap out of that one. I really enjoyed certain characters on that. So
I don't think I ever beat that one. I need to
didn't play that one. You said
that's embarrassing.
You didn't pick it up. You didn't pick it up because you were waiting for it to be cheap, and you didn't want to jump back into the Borderlands world. Right?
Yeah, because I did everything in Borderlands. I think I 100%ed Borderlands 2, actually.
You 100%ed, including all the DLC achievements.
Challenges.
Yeah, all the achievements for that. If you guys don't know, he plays for the achievements.
No. So we've talked about this, right? When I really love a game, and I think of it this way: if I go after all of the achievements, I'm sort of sending a message because they get the data, right? I send a message to the developers: "Hey, I loved your game so much that I took the time to find every collectible, to watch every story, to watch the credits to the end, just so they get the message that says you guys did great on this game." It's my love letter.
Right, and it's
I go after all these.
So I have it's first off the saying that I like to use on that one is you are not playing or you're not using $20 of Photoshop.
Yeah,
the Photoshop is a $600 program, and the majority of people that use the program use about $30 worth of Photoshop.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's
exactly. Right. So you buy a game for $60 or $50 or whatever, and you get every ounce of fun out of that game, and that's fantastic. And that's how gamers used to be. But now we get so angry that there's a whole rant on that one. But no, that's great, and I do the same thing in the sense of there are some games that people have given hate to, like Overwatch and Fortnite, where people are like, "Oh, why are people spending money on skins?" And I'm like, the reason I do that is because, at least for me, is this is a free game, or Overwatch I paid once for, but they've released so much free content. They've updated it so much that the game is no longer the game that I got when I first bought it. It is a completely different game. Same thing with Fortnite. Fortnite is a completely different game, and all these new seasons come out. And every time they release a new season, they release a battle pass, and then they release all these skins. And I feel like I've gotten so much enjoyment from the free game that I
a little money in the tip jar.
Right. Like I spend $30, $40 once every 2-3 months on the game.
Plus you look pretty sexy with the wings. And
Right. Of course. But, I really do it. And I tell everyone this. I do it because I feel like it's my contribution back to the developers.
Yeah.
To kind of give them some money. Like I've played this game for more than what I would have paid for a $60 game. So let me give you some money back. Here you go.
A little extra because I'm still playing it, right? That's
right. Right, and again, it's one, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm enjoying all the Halloween content right now. It's fun. The Save the World stuff has got some good stuff. They're releasing some new updates.
Brand new patch. I mean, we don't want this to be the Fortnite podcast, right? But
no, we're not going to talk about it.
We just had some Save the World updates that I'm excited for, right? Some big changes on the way, and it's not going free yet because it's still a beta.
Right. So we're going to talk about one more thing real quick, and I think we're right around the 50-minute mark.
Perfect.
So, but
last topic.
Let's go. Let's give you about 15 minutes. I want you to talk about that test that you had run.
Oh, all right. So
this is our tabletop section.
Tabletop section. So my buddy Tim Hutchins, he's a game designer, artist / game designer. So he does a lot of cool stuff. He is kickstarting a game on the 23rd, I believe. It is called 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. And it's got an interesting concept here, right? It is a single-player role-playing game, right? Which is, I mean, how do you design a single-player role-playing game that isn't a choose-your-own adventure? right? So Tim really, I think he sat down and thought about this a lot. Like, how do you make this interesting to someone to play and sit down and not just be prompted decisions? And this concept, this 1,000-year-old vampire. So the story here is you're a long-lived, you're an eternal, you're an immortal vampire, right? And the character you design starts at the very first, the day after you've been converted, right? So you pick a time. So you say, "Oh, I'm a Roman soldier." You pick a family and friends. So you've got 3 mortal characters you develop. A couple of skills. So a Roman soldier might be good with the sword, good at yelling. Who knows what skills you pick? It's sort of what you want, right? This is kind of an indie game where you kind of write down something cool. A couple of resources. Maybe I've got my sword, my armor, and a villa, right? And then you roll some dice. So your prompts are random, right? So
right. So I saw that it's what is it? It's a D10 and a D6, right?
Minus a D6. So you can roll anywhere between 4 and what is it? 0 and 4 spaces up. So he's got about, I don't know how many, it's about 80 pages of prompts. So maybe like maybe 90 prompts he's got on there.
Huh.
And some of the prompts have multiple levels. So if you roll it twice, you could go to the next level of it, right? So I created a character. He was a fisherman in ancient Carthage, right? So my first character, fisherman in ancient Carthage. My family and friends, I had like an officer in the town that I didn't like, my wife, and a brother, right? So I'm writing this down. I've never played before. I don't really have much commitments. And I roll up. You roll, and my first roll was, the prompt was, kill someone close to you. No, in a feeding frenzy, you kill someone close to you. Gain the attribute bloodlust. And also, this. So what you do at moments like that is your character is all about memories. So you write down this memory. Tim calls it an experience. An experience can only be one sentence. So even though I have this long memory of why I might have killed my brother, what I did after I killed my brother, which is what I wound up doing, you scratch the mortal off your character sheet. So there's sort of a physical thing there. Ooh. And you write this down and you keep one experience, right? So the experience I kept was, I murdered my brother and threw him off a boat, right? That's my experience. That's an example of the experience. What happens is that as time passes, your vampire starts to forget things. So you only have space for 5 or 6 memories and experiences. So as you roll up more and more prompts, you wind up scratching out these memories, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it becomes these intense moments where your vampire...
You have to choose which memories you're the one you're gonna like scratch out.
Scratch out, and you might have gotten attached to one of the mortal characters you created. You've written this long story about them, and now you're scratching out these memories. Crazily, I had one memory where I had a character that had become immortal. I had made them immortal by accident. They disappeared for a little while, and then I added another experience. I had to scratch out their memory because I was like, oh, whatever. I scratched out their memory. Tim later has a prompt that says one of the immortal characters from your past returns. Now I've got this character that my vampire actually has no memory of, right? Because I've scratched out the memory, but now they've reappeared in your story, and you have to write a new story about it, right? I was dubious, I will fully admit, because this is a really indie concept, right?
Yeah, I've never seen a concept. So it's solo, right? You're not playing with anyone else.
You're not playing with anyone else. You're rolling dice and you're writing things, man. And I will tell you, I played for an hour and a half straight my first way through. Right, I want to restart because now it's I needed more pages because I kept filling up my book with writing, physical writing with like a pen, where like I had to stop because my hand was a horrible claw at the end of it.
Homework, the game.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I mean, but like think of it as
totally. It's a creative prompt.
It's a writing prompt, the game, and I mean, I felt so like there was a real emotional connection to my vampire. Like I was sad to stop their story because I had invested so much in trying to answer these prompts with cool things and crossing out memories and crossing out mortal characters. And like my character started in Northern Africa, and by the time I stopped, I had been driven all the way north into Germany, right? So like you travel across time, and Tim in this game encourages you to add in historical events. So I added in the Punic Wars, I added in the spread of Christianity, right? So I get to sort of like really live live this vampire's life as I'm writing, and I forgot how cathartic just writing stuff on a page is. You know,
No,
like,
it's truly. I mean, again, this is.
I don't do it often enough. I just type like crazy. You know, even when I'm designing my D&D games, it's tick 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 tick, right? But yeah, that's tick 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 tick. But actually, physically writing it was great. So, 1,000-year-old vampire. If you check it out, I'll have more after the Kickstarter. I'll probably put some links up after he kicks it off. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait to get back to it. You really got to dedicate.
He hasn't put up the Kickstarter yet, but
he hasn't put up the Kickstarter yet.
We will post a link up by all means. And what is he? I mean, this is kind of an interesting concept for a game because I guess it's just a book that you're buying. Like it's.
So you're buying a book, right? I mean, obviously, the more money that goes into the Kickstarter, the more you can add to the book. But it's got the rule set in there. I think the rule set is like 20, 25 pages. And then he's got 90 pages of prompts.
Okay.
And one of the notes Tim has in there is that if you feel really brave, you can write your vampire's journal right inside the book. So he's got spaces under each of the prompts that if you wanted to be like, if you were the kind of nerd who wrote in your books, which I mean, there's maybe 2 nerds out there that do that, he would write in your book.
These nerds must not be academics because
no. Who would write inside a role playing book? That's nuts. But I wrote in a notebook, and I actually. My recommendation to Tim was like, hey, you need to just say like everyone has like an aunt or a grandmother or some family member that buys them like empty journals every Christmas. They just send them a book that's empty.
Yeah.
Or you have a family friend that gets empty books. I mean, you and I are both married to academics, so we get empty books. There's like empty notebooks all over my house.
I got there on that shut right.
Yeah, I have four.
There.
I have 4 up
there.
here. So I plan to fill one up with the vampire story and see how that goes. Because you could just write the experience, or you could write an entire journal entry, and then take one sentence from that journal entry and add it to your character sheet.
So how long does the game go? Like it says I was reading a little bit about it, and it says it might take 2 to 3 hours is what it tells you. But
I think 3 hours is about right. So you could play like in half-an-hour increments. You can answer one prompt and move on with your day. It depends on how much you write, right? You know, you can write quick. But I think the more you think about your answers, the more intense and interesting the game will be. I play for about an hour and a half, and I passed through about 600 years. So you should get 1,000 plus. I probably started a little too early. Maybe I shouldn't have gone in the BCs, but definitely you can play as long as you want. I think the way the prompts work. One last note is that, and I haven't gotten into the modern age, right? But I think the deeper into the prompts you go, since you're almost always going to roll positive numbers, eventually you start getting to ages. Start to get to the modern age. He says he ends it in the modern age. The last prompts are in the modern age.
Interesting.
So you can live 2,000 years. Yeah.
Wow. Well, no, you can live up to 2,000 years.
Well, not me personally, but the vampire could.
Well, the vampire could.
In the prompts, right? I mean, you could die at any point, right? So you could. It could. I don't know. I haven't encountered a prompt that's going to kill my character, but there are mechanisms in the game that can kill you. So, like if you run out of skills and resources, you're supposed to write your character death, right? So there's going to be prompts that are going to be like, you sacrifice this to get away. If you don't have it to sacrifice, your vampire gets killed, right? So you have to write your own character's ending up there.
Yeah, I'm seeing a good interview with Tim.
Yeah, no, we should bring Tim on for our dozens of viewers. Maybe he can.
Yeah, that'd be nice just to have a little maybe a special episode, or when he puts his Kickstarter up. I'd love to have someone like that talk about their game.
He does some neat things too. In general in the role playing community, he's got the Plagmada archive, so he collects miscellaneous stuff from role play games. So like. Remember when you were 12 and you hand wrote all of your character sheets and drew all those maps on your graph paper that you used instead of math class, right? He finds those and buys those collections on eBay off of people who are just getting rid of them. And he submits them to the Museum of Play up here in Rochester. So they've got a huge archive of old role-play memorabilia. And he published, what is it called? The Habitation of the Stone Giant. You could tell this kid was like 12, used a thesaurus, and instead of like the den of the stone giant, he called it the habitation. And it's an original adventure from like a 12-year-old with all the original art of that kid being 12. He published this kid's module with all the art and stuff like that, just off of the old stuff, all the old archives.
So
Archives. I'll put up a link on Facebook so folks can check it out.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
Some of their collection is online.
How does he go by the legal standpoint of that? Like, if this was someone else's work that he then turned into, like,
I don't know. I need to talk to Tim about it. But I mean, there's no copyright on any of this stuff, right? So.
No, absolutely. I mean,
found this in a box in an attic somewhere, and if he could find the author, maybe he asked permission, but he published it. It's like a 40-page module with. I think he's got other adventures in there as well. So,
oh man, talk to him, see if he would like to come on. Maybe a supplemental episode or whatever.
Sure, he's out on the West Coast, so we'll have to figure out the times.
Well, I mean, we
coast to coast broadcast.
We film this at 10:00 at night, so that would be 8:00 his time. So
yeah, you can manage. I'll talk to him about it. See if we can get him on. I need to post some links on Facebook and a little review for him anyway. So.
Yeah, by all means, write it up.
He's won awards for his games, so he's a pretty producing guy. Be interesting to have him on. I'll put a link to one of his other interviews if folks are interested. 1K Vampire, though, stay tuned. I'll post some links.
Yeah, the 1,000-year-old vampire.
1,000-year-old vampire.
So yeah, as soon as the Kickstarter gets put up, we'll put up a link and push it out. So
give it a
yeah. So I think that's it for this episode. We're at. We timed us. We're at 1 hour and 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
We did no break this time, and it's nothing broke. So it looks good to me.
Good deal. Had fun.
Look, again, thanks for tuning in. Again, we're clearing this all out, keeping this.
Finding our sea legs.
Figuring out what we want to focus on. It's hard. Sometimes we want to talk, and we could go on and on, but we really have to condense it and. Sooner or later we'll do some sort of like live stream or maybe hop onto a game and just talk about that one game that we're playing. We dive in. Like fun. We sat down and maybe played Fallout or something, just as a co-op thing, and just kind of talk it out. That'd be great. Hop into stream a game of like Save the World Fortnite, something co-op, or you and me can hop on and see how we play. How that would be kind of interesting.
There you go. Or our Red Dead Redemption 2 release date, right? That's,
yeah. So again, you say you don't pre-order games, but have you pre-ordered this one?
No, of course not. I hold firm to my principles. I have not pre-ordered. Okay. I mean, I don't. I have to see what's in my budget to even buy it, right? So, but I mean, it's on my list. It's on my list of games that I must have at some point.
So release date for that again is
26th. I think that's in 4 or 5 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Friday. Is it going to be Friday that it comes out, or Thursday?
I mean, assuming that everyone gets it, I think it's Friday. Friday or maybe Thursday night. Friday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, while Joe's looking that up, make sure to like us.
Yeah, the 26th. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Thumbs up, whatever method. Please share, guys.
Send us
to tell us you hated this. Tell us you hated this, and give us creative feedback. By all means, constructive feedback is always great. I will ask you guys, if you're watching this in any way, shape, or form through YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I don't mind that you don't, but I'm just saying I've got almost 70 people following us on Facebook, but we don't have 70 followers on YouTube. And while I don't mind people just following us on Facebook and watching the stream or watching the video that gets put up, the YouTube needs to get to 100. Once we get to 100, we really cross a milestone with YouTube and allows us to do some other crazy things on the channel. So again,
gives us access to some more fun tools, some shortcuts, things like that. We're not talking about like money or streams or advertising dollars.
No. Again, we're not in this for the money, not yet at least. But
but really, it's about building the audience, right? So that's what we're hoping for.
Right. So
send us thoughts, send us links you want us to talk about, things like that. Post and chat, and I promise. I will try to post more on the Facebook. It's been a busy week, but I'm going to make an effort to get on there more often with some links.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll
you'll see I reply to everybody. So if you post something that's interesting, I will definitely chat with you about it.
Yeah, we've been doing the same thing on YouTube. I've been replying to comments as best as I can. And again, keep tuned in, and there's more to come from us. All right.
Thanks
all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. See you next week.